President Trump threatens new tariffs on Canada.
We cannot accept what they've offered
as a trade fight heats up. A new Supreme Court decision that could impact mail-in voters. And this high school nonprofit traveled all the way from Australia to help people in need.
Do I really enjoy this? And I've always said yes 100,000 times. I always love giving back to the community.
These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak. Hello, South Florida. I'm Dylan Pizzay.
And I'm Frida Flores. Today is Tuesday, August 25th, 2026.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
Tensions between the U.S. and Canada grows. The trade fight between the United States and Canada is continuing after President Trump threatens new tariffs on cars and auto parts being imported from Canada.
The threat comes after trade talks held last Friday broke down. CNN's Michael Yoshida has the story.
The cross-border trade war is escalating.
We cannot accept what they've offered, and we will not give what they've asked.
In a Monday Truth Social post, President Donald Trump threatened to double tariffs on Canadian cars and car parts to 50% come January 1st. Adding to the 50% tariffs on roughly $20 billion worth of Canadian goods announced over the weekend.
This is something where we don't actually expect a huge impact.
Now Canada is retaliating with its own dollar-for-dollar tariffs starting September 8th, and those could have an impact.
What it actually means for Americans is a new 50% tax. It is a bizarre policy for Americans. It's going to hurt them.
Things like paper products, dairy, alcoholic beverages, and lumber could all get more expensive.
Some of the products that come from Canada, like lumber, for example, very, very important in the U.S. building trades, energy. These are things that Americans are already feeling a pinch on.
The Trump administration argues this is necessary due to a trade imbalance.
We're actually worried about our small businesses to make sure they get the kind of access they need.
But the trade war, adding salt to the wound for businesses already stressed by the war with Iran that has driven up energy and transportation costs. With less room to absorb another hit, new tariff costs will likely land on consumers.
The Supreme Court clears the way for parts of President Donald Trump's mail-in voting order ahead of midterms. The justices ruled 6-3 yesterday to lift a lower court block on key parts of the order. The plan directs Homeland Security to compile state-by-state lists of eligible voters and calls for new Postal Service rules for the mail ballots. However, the courts did not rule on whether Trump's order is legal, and a separate injunction still blocks part of the Postal Service plan, with voting set to begin in some states within weeks. Ongoing lawsuits could complicate implementation before November.
Nearly 2 weeks after a historic storm struck different parts of Indiana, 6,000 residents in the city of Gary are still without electricity. CNN's Cheryl Hubbard reports.
Tuesday will mark 2 full weeks of being in the dark for some folks in Northwest Indiana, and residents say the situation for some is dire. One of them is 70-year-old Willette Wright.
Some people are now on 13 days. We got areas here in Gary where our seniors are stuck in their houses without any utilities. Our seniors are begging for help.
Others say the blackout is especially challenging for vulnerable populations.
I got 3 kids, no family support, no friend support.
Community groups are standing in the gap, providing temporary relief while crews work to get power back on. Monday, social media influencer and food blogger Keith Lee hosted a relief event.
If you want some food or you need some food, come get some.
Officials at Northern Indiana Public Service Company, or NIPSCO, have said they hope to have power restored for all of Northwest Indiana by Tuesday. Some people say their expectations are low.
We've gotten these different timelines of when we're going to get power, and we've been told something, and then that passes and it doesn't happen. I don't have faith that it's going to be Tuesday.
The mayor of Gary, Indiana, a majority black city with one of the longest projected power restoration timelines, says his city wasn't prioritized by the power company.
Gary was omitted in that time frame of restoration, which caused the community to be frustrated and upset.
He's calling on NIPSCO to put more boots on the ground there.
So long to live like this. All your resources gone.
I'm Cheryl Hubbard reporting.
A mother and her daughter are behind bars in Florida after a car crash led to their detention. The 2 women were taken to a hospital after Thursday's crash in Point Siena. Polk County deputies responding to the hospital determined the women were Ecuadorian nationals allegedly living in the U.S. illegally. After deputies took the mother into custody, her injured daughter was given the option to remain for treatment, but she instead left with her in a hospital gown to go to her mother. Relatives say both remain in jail as the family seeks legal representation.
Crews have recovered a small plane that crashed into the ocean off Boca Raton over the weekend. The pilot survived after the twin-engine Piper went down Saturday while flying from Fort Myers to the Bahamas. She says she was heading to pick up her parents when she began having engine trouble. The pilot chose to land in the ocean rather than risk hitting buildings along the coast. Rescuers pulled her to safety before the plane began to sink.
Former NBA player Enes Freedom now claims he's transgender and plans to join the 2027 WNBA draft. Freedom, whose last name was formerly Cantor, made this announcement in July along with former player Royce White. Sources are stating that these declarations are publicity stunts used to mock the league. Following Freedom being kicked out of a WNBA game last Sunday for wearing politically controversial clothing, Freedom claimed this action was, in his words, unacceptable.
A triathlon coach is recovering this morning after an alligator attacked him while training with fellow athletes. It happened Sunday near Columbia, South Carolina. The coach, 31-year-old Jonathan Bruni, brought several of his athletes to the Savannah River for a practice swim. Bruni led the way and showed his students how to properly navigate the course. Trouble began when nearly 1,000 yards into training, he felt the alligator biting into him. He forced the gator off by poking its eyes with his thumb, and his students then helped him to shore.
And I ripped the cord off the swim buoy to make a tourniquet and just applied a makeshift tourniquet onto his arm. Told him it's gonna hurt. Squeezed as hard as I could, and I could watch the bleeding stop as we applied the tourniquet.
Wildlife officers searched for the scaly suspect, but to no avail. Police say to remain vigilant when in the water and to remember that you share it with the wildlife.
You know, being bit by an alligator is no fun, but what is fun are these plans for Olympic fans to take flight in air taxis.
And that's still ahead, and so's the story.
We were both the right match for this program, and both liked a lot of the same things. We decided to open up a chapter here in Miami.
One cold night for a teenager leads to a charity that keeps thousands of people warm. And now, it's expanding to Miami. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Really use a new tablet. I just don't have the money.
Let me ask you something. Do you have a Pell Grant?
Yes.
You do know you can get a free tablet, right?
Did you say free?
Yeah, free. It's simple. And the application is done in the store.
I could really use a tablet.
Go get one. Another satisfied customer. Stop by Panthertech in the Graham Center at FIU MMC today to speak with one of our associates to get your free tablet.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life. But how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have something called prediabetes. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Residents of Little Haiti and Liberty City were gifted with a warm welcome during the month of August. A high school nonprofit from Australia has traveled all the way to South Florida, and it has some big plans moving forward.
Caplin's Enzo Passo tells us how Sleep Warm Foundation is helping to provide more comfortable nights for those in need.
The comfort of our own beds is something that many of us never think twice about. But for one high school student from Australia, a high school camp would change the way he saw that simple privilege.
And on this particular school camping trip, we were up in the Australian Alps, and at nighttime it went down to around -5°C, which is around 23 Fahrenheit. And during those nights, I brought with me a North Face sleeping bag. It was pretty expensive, but it was only insulated down to maybe +5°C or maybe around 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And I remember at nighttime, I was just thinking all the way back to my parents and my upbringing over in San Jose in California. And in San Jose, that's such a high population of homeless people. You really can't avoid it.
With that mentality in mind, Julian founded the Sleep Warm Foundation, which is focused on applying high-quality features into sleeping bags that are later given away for the ones in need.
The first part is obviously getting this cost-effective sleeping bags out across the world to those who need it, and that's through to either homeless people or people who have been victims of disasters, natural disasters, or conflict. And I really want to inspire that same sense of fulfillment and duty and growth to other young people across the world. I think that's really important to me.
And one step at a time, Sleep Warm Foundation started to grow. But Julian's mission went way beyond Australia, and it might have seemed like a distant goal at a time, but his commitment was strong. And it was strong enough to travel him all the way to South Florida.
Pretty much the foundation I founded through an Instagram post, and me and the guy, the founder, Julian Tran, me and him both met each other, and we started talking, and me and him both came together. I sent him a DM, and we just talked over the phone for a while, and it was kind of like a whole process where he had to find me the right match. And after that, after we see that we were both the right match for this program, and we both liked a lot of the same things, we decided to open up a chapter here in Miami.
During August 6th, Jose, alongside with the other directors of the Miami chapter of the Sleep Warm Foundation, distributed 150 sleeping bags at the areas of Little Haiti and Liberty City. Just like Julian, Jose is also in high school. He says the community service has always been a part of his journey.
My parents have always been the people to give away things to the other people that are in need. And one thing that I'm always grateful for them is teaching me to be like them. And the best thing that they've ever taught me is to always give things away when you don't need them, instead of just throwing them away. It's like a really huge problem about empathy, and then now I've had to ask myself the questions like, do I really enjoy this? And I've always said yes 100,000 times. I always love giving back to the community.
Julian's initiative did not only reach Miami, as the foundation has already distributed over 2,500 sleeping bags worldwide, but with something that started off with a brief reflection, the question to be asked is, what else do we don't think twice about in our day-to-day? Reporting for Caplin News, I'm Enzo Passo.
Air taxis are a leap of technology of Olympic proportion, and this morning they have an Olympic-sized deadline. Yesterday in Los Angeles, the company Archer Aviation unveiled one of the first air taxis. The company hopes it can be operated perfectly ahead of the 2028 Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles. The air taxi can cut a drive that is typically an hour down to a flight of only 10 to 20 minutes and can hold up to 4 passengers.
It's really going to leave an incredible legacy behind for the city, changing the way people get around. Our Plan LA network is really incredible, and we looked at the routes that really give people time back.
The FAA is yet to approve of the air taxi, and if approval goes through, Archer says that the taxi will pick up and drop off passengers from several different locations, such as SoFi Stadium, the University of Southern California, and even Hollywood Burbank Airport.
Wildfire victims are receiving more help this morning after community organizers put together a basketball clinic. Shoot Spokane 360 was ready to go with only 2 weeks of planning, as people were already eager to help their neighbors. The clinic brought local athletes and professional players together for a joint cause. You're watching Newsbreak, and we'll be right back.
Radcliffe Art and Design Incubator is the velocity accompanying the fellow's rudder, as in a boat. Unless there is movement or action, the planned direction is of little consequence. We encourage the creative ideas into action, and from the experience of doing, we critically assess the feedback, adjust, and set out to rediscover the potentialities of an entrepreneurial mindset.
STEM is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Dylan Pizzay.
And I'm Frida Flores. You can get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.